How's it, chums? Figured we'd take some time and talk our way through some assault rifle loadouts for Modern Warfare. I know that there is a huge difference between the way that you would play Domination, TDM, those kind of close quarter maps versus how you would play with Warzone. So I'm going to run you through a couple of loadouts for these weapons and try and give you the best loadouts that I had for when I was playing multiplayer, but how you can adapt them for Warzone as well. This is the Kilo 141. It's the very first gun that you'll get off the bat, and this is my loadout for it. So this is my Kilo 141 loadout. It's built for domination and for much closer engagements. The no stock attachment gives you much more mobility. Stippled grip tape gives you a quicker ADS speed. Muzzle brake gives you recoil control. These are the things that I was looking for when I was grinding out these guns, trying to get them all gold. But that being said, when you're taking them out onto Warzone, you're probably going to be engaging at medium to longer ranges or a little bit outside melee range, which means that you should probably revise the loadout a little bit. When it comes to Warzone, you're probably going to find that a loadout like this is a better idea. Monolithic suppressor to suppress your sound, give you a little bit more range on the gun, keeping the same barrel. The Singard Arms Sniper Pro stock, just to give you a little bit more stability when you're shooting. The 100-round drum also just gives you ample ammunition to hold down a position. Again, Commando foregrip, same thing. There's no penalty for your ADS, and that's why I like the Commando foregrip more than any of the other underbarrel attachments. Next up, the FAL. This gun was one of the more difficult guns for me to get used to. Going from the Kilo onto the FAL, it changes the way that you play with the gun because you're now suddenly playing with a single fire weapon, and that can be a little bit, it messes with your head a little bit when you do that. But for this loadout, I put the muzzle brake, the XRK Marksman, Cronin C480 Pro optic on it, stippled grip tape again because I want to improve my ADS, and the Ranger foregrip for this specific loadout. This was quite near the end of my grind with this gun for these camos, and this is the loadout that I ran with for that. So it was a lot of mounting and a lot of long shots, and that's why I had the optic on it. I was also trying to push for headshots and that kind of thing, and that's what this loadout is actually built for. This is for much longer range engagements. As an alternative, I did also use the Beef Eater blueprint as the foundation for an alternative build. Monolithic suppressor, much shorter barrel, the 13-inch OSW para barrel, the aim op reflex sight, forged tack stalker to give you a lot of stability when aiming, and the stippled grip tape to improve your ADS speed. This loadout for me, after the gun was gold, is actually the loadout that I enjoyed the most when playing with the FAL. Made the gun a bit quicker, made it for a little bit more aggressive play style, and it just improved the gameplay that I was experiencing with the gun. I think that everybody has spoken for the M4. I think enough has been said about it. It's probably going to be the one gun that you have gold at the beginning of this game. My loadout for this is also very close to my Warzone loadout. Muzzle brake, grenadier barrel, no stock attachment to make the mobility much better. The SOCOM rounds is what sets this loadout apart from everything else. And the Commando foregrip. The barrel makes it very stable. The rounds make it very hard hitting. And as you can see, the Warzone loadout of this gun isn't very different. All that I've done is change the Corvus custom marksman barrel out and the forged tack CQS stock. This makes it a very aggressive gun to play with in Warzone, and because you have those 4.58 SOCOM rounds, you're hitting really hard. So if you're aiming chin height, you should be getting really good shots with it. It does force you to play a lot slower because you only have 10 rounds in a mag, and you don't want to spend all your time in a gunfight trying to reload your weapon. Longer range, you could actually put a nice optic on this gun, you could put the grenadier barrel back on, and you could have quite a long range DMR style assault rifle that you can use. But this is my loadout for Warzone with the M4. I did enlist the help of some of my friends with their loadouts for these guns, and this is an alternate loadout for the M4 thanks to Sheldon. Monolithic suppressor, Corvus marksman barrel, the M16 stock, which makes it super stable, FMJ for when you're tracking someone and they run behind cover, and Commando foregrip. The FR556 is actually a lot of fun once you get used to it. The triple burst on this thing gave me a lot of joy, especially when hip firing and you manage to take down 2-3 dudes at the same time. It's really a fun gun to play with. This again was my loadout close to the end of my grind for this gun. Monolithic suppressor, the FR 24-inch sniper barrel, the forged tack ballast pack, fully loaded, and the Ranger foregrip. What I was finding was that I wanted to have maximum distance to do damage, but also wanted to have a full complement of ammunition to go with it. When you're shooting 3 bullets at a time, you need to be cognizant of the fact that you can run out of ammunition with this gun quite quickly. As an alternative loadout, what you could try is swapping out the Merc foregrip, which will give you a better hip fire, the stippled grip tape, which gives you a quicker sprint to fire speed, and then FMJ again. The Oden is possibly one of the most underappreciated weapons when it comes to the assault rifle selection. I'm not saying that nobody plays with it. I'm saying that you really have to have gone through the guns to decide that you want to play with the Oden. My loadout for this thing was the Colossus suppressor, the 810 barrel, the forged tack back, 25 round mags, and the Ranger foregrip. This was the loadout that I was playing with that turns this gun into a DMR, a very, very hard hitting DMR. As an alternative, you could change out for the muzzle brake and change to stippled grip tape and the Commando foregrip to give you a little bit more of an aggressive weapon. It just has a lower ammo capacity then, which can be a bit of a problem, but isn't always. A lot of the times when you're playing with this, you'll probably be playing a bit slower, playing from behind cover and that kind of thing. And that long barrel will really give you the kind of distance that you want, being able to shoot at anybody that you see coming towards you. The M13 has quickly become one of my favorite weapons. I didn't enjoy it very much. Having worked my way through the weapons in order, by the time I got to the M13, I couldn't understand why you would take a lower powered assault rifle over something like the M4. But that being said, when I made this build, I was supremely stoked with it. This is how I played when I got the gun gold. Since then though, I've played with different loadouts on this gun, and what I have quite enjoyed from very early on in the Warzone lifespan was this loadout. Monolithic suppressor, Tempest mini barrel, skeleton stock, stippled grip tape, and the Ranger foregrip. And it made the gun very mobile, very quick to shoot. The Tempest mini off barrel was offset by the range of the monolithic suppressor, so you had something that had a little bit better mobility and speed of shooting, but it still had a little bit of range on it. Most recently though, this has been my favorite loadout for the M13. Monolithic suppressor, Tempest marksman barrel, so you have maximum range with this thing now. Forged tack stalker, so you have aiming stability when you're shooting. 60 round mags, if you have more bullets than the dude in front of you, we're hoping that you're going to come out standing. And the Commando foregrip. The Scar is a bit of an anomaly. It's quite a slow firing assault rifle, and it's got a very high iron sight on it, but it's a very hard hitting assault rifle. This loadout worked for me. This was the loadout that I had near the end of the life cycle for the gun, just before I got it gold. It's still a loadout that I play with. The monolithic suppressor, the forged tack 20-inch barrel, the F-tack collapsible stock for most mobility, stippled grip tape to get your gun ADS quicker, and the Merc foregrip to help with hip fire. As an alternative though, this monolithic suppressor with the forged tack 20-inch barrel, Commando foregrip, 25 round mags, and FMJ is another loadout that worked really well for one of my friends. These loadouts aren't cut and dry. I'm not saying to you that by using these loadouts you'll have a version of this weapon that nobody else can shoot you with and nobody else can kill you with. What I'm doing is I'm trying to show you loadouts that we used to play with when we were grinding out these guns. No two blueprints that we created were ever the same. I would have a different blueprint that worked for my playstyle compared to Sheldon or compared to Matt. And these are the things that I'm trying to take into consideration and showing you the loadouts that I'm suggesting you try out for yourself. The AK-47 is one of the wildest assault rifles in this game. When I say wild, I mean you're really just going with to pull the trigger because it's the one doing the shooting. This loadout for me was long shots, headshots, mounted kills. This is kind of what I was using for it. And this is the loadout that I've been using in trying to get it obsidian. So monolithic suppressor, compact barrel, no stock, Ranger foregrip, and the stippled grip tape. What I wanted was to be able to swing the gun for hip fire, bring it up if I needed to ADS, but also be able to move really quickly with it. And this loadout has worked for me. It's been a really fun loadout to play with. The AK has been quite largely untouched by nerfs and buffs. It's a decent weapon. It's not always the most accurate to play with, but it's quite a bit of fun to play with. This is another alternate build that you could try out, courtesy of Sheldon, who loves FMJ on all of his guns, and I can't fault him. I've seen him end up on the top of the scoreboard too many times to even suggest that that's a mistake on any of his weapons. Man, the RAM and I have not had an easy relationship. This is a DLC weapon, not one of my favorites by any means, but this is the loadout that I used when I got it gold. Stippled grip tape because I wanted the quickest ADS, the Ranger foregrip, stability, FSS Ranger and monolithic suppressor to maximize the damage range of the weapon, and the close quarter stock. We were playing a lot of shipment at the time, so this loadout just made sense. As an alternative to the loadout that I use, this isn't too bad. It's actually a loadout that I picked up in Warzone, and I quite enjoyed playing with it. The only change I made was putting the monolithic suppressor on it and changing stippled grip tape instead of having the frangible disabling on it. It's quite a quick gun, so it's got quite a decent accuracy, a good range, and quite a lot of mobility. And this is actually the loadout that I'd recommend if you want to take this out into Warzone. At the time of recording this video, the Grau is the new meta, or has been the new meta for a while now. This is the loadout that I use: monolithic suppressor, Archangel barrel, Commando foregrip, 50 round mags, and the Cronin Sniper Elite. It's a very, very stable weapon this way. You can see the accuracy rating is really high on this gun. No damage rating though. Range is good and control is really good. And that's the thing. If your accuracy and your control are really good with the gun, then you know that you've got a stable weapon that you can fire. Ideally what you want is something that has good accuracy, good control, good damage, good range. But you'll never get. So you have to make those provisions in some other way. The Grau is, much to my chagrin, one of the guns that everybody chooses to play with. I didn't enjoy playing with it, and I did not enjoy getting this gun gold, but there's no denying that this specific loadout works in Warzone. If you're aiming at the chin or above, you're probably going to walk away from your gunfight with this loadout. These have been my loadouts for the assault rifle class. Really happy to share them with you guys. Leave me any comments, anything you think I've missed, any loadouts that have worked for you that are very different to what I'm doing. It's not cut and dry. What I'm suggesting is not that these are the ultimate build in terms of there can be no variation to them, because at the end of the day, you need to play this game the way that feels comfortable to you. I made my loadouts to suit my playstyle. That was a big thing for me. Putting your flavor into the thing makes it yours and also appeals to the way you play. You should definitely play around with these guns and see what suits you. Please, leave a comment. Let me know what I've missed. Let me know what you liked. Let me know which one of these is working for you right now. Have fun out there. Stay frosty.